Am I the idiot for telling my mom that my sister was a better mother than her? I, 17, was born when my sister Ari was already 18. She stayed at home till I was 10 doing her university and masters. So my parents obviously spoiled me cause I was the miracle boy. But I always remember it was Ari who taught me to be polite, chew with my mouth closed, how to clean even, be nice and all the stuff like that. It was so much better when she'd make food than my mom. I remember when I was 9 she and her boyfriend, husband now, took me to the park. Someone asked if I was her son and she said close enough, and when I asked later what she meant she said I was their practice baby. But when she left, and she's like stayed gone. I've seen her so few times since. Like there was her wedding, my other sister's wedding and functions like that. Point is in those 10 years, she kept me from being the spoiled brat my mom and dad were definitely turning me into. So even if she didn't want to see me for the last 7 years, I'm still grateful. So university applications are being filled out, and I want to do software engineering at Waterloo. My mom wants me to stay local. Yesterday it turned into a big family Zoom meeting where Ari was involved. She said if staying with family was an issue, her family was moving to Kitchener, and her husband heard and he piped up saying he'd love it if I could stay with them. I thought that was cool cause I'd finally get to see them again and meet my niece. But my mom said no, you're not going. So I got really mad and I asked why not. She said you're going to need your mother when you start university. That made me angrier and I said before Ari left she was a better mom to me than you anyway. That didn't go well since my mom ran to her room to cry, so I couldn't see. My dad said I was being ungrateful and my sister, not Ari, told me to stop being an idiot. So, I don't know. Now for a few comments before the update, not the idiot. I'm going to guess that your sister is keeping her distance for reasons that have nothing to do with you and everything to do with your parents. I would recommend some damage control. Apologize to your mom, but make it clear to her that the decision about where to go for university should not be based on a boy needing his mother, but about what is best for you and your education. You are going to be legally an adult after all. Comment 2, no idiots here. Call Ari in private and talk this out. Sounds like she 1, knows how your parents can be, and 2, can help you figure out what to do. Sounds like you should plan on going to her place for uni. Now for the update. So, I've gotten a lot of DMS. So I'm updating because people seem to be really worried. Pretty much, when my mom came to my room to talk to me about what I said, I'd already decided I was going to apologize. You guys made it clear I needed to do that much. She asked if I meant what I said about Aria being a better mom than her or if I just said it to hurt her. It is true I said it was because I was upset she doesn't want me to go, so I just said that and apologized. We hugged and she said we'd talk about it later. What I said to my mom did work its way through my sisters. It went from Isla to Sarah and from Sarah to Ari. I got a FaceTime from Ari where she reminded me she taught me it was wrong to lose my temper like that, but with mom she gets it. She seemed proud when I said I apologized. I wanted to say thanks for all she did for me, but it felt wrong over FT. She did tell me she's planning on having the whole family over to her new house in Kitchener after they move for my niece's birthday. She made it clear if I get into Waterloo, I'm staying with her or coming over as much as I can. Now here's where it gets wacky. My mom's cousin, who is like the head of that side of the family, found out what happened. He wasn't on the Zoom cause he's really busy. He found out and scolded my mom and went on about how great a school Waterloo is and how selfishly she's holding me back and how she's trying to keep me as her baby forever. Isla eavesdropped on the whole thing and told me everything our uncle said to mom. Honestly, it makes me wonder if things between Ari and I are like my mom and him. So, my mom told me she was wrong about Waterloo and I had her support to stay with Ari. She told me her permission means I have to call her every night, text good morning every morning, no partying, no girlfriends, be a good uncle, and treat Ari with respect. And I got into Waterloo's engineering and we went to Ari's new home for my niece's birthday party in spring break in March. I tried to tell Ari and her husband how I feel and how thankful I am for how Ari raised me, but I blubbered and couldn't say anything, and she just pulled me in and hugged me and kissed me on the forehead like non-stop for minutes while kinda crying. They gave me such a tight hug me and said I'd always be their first son. My brother-in-law took me to Waterloo and it's so cool. My niece's birthday party was also great, she's so cute. I told Ari I'd be willing to babysit, but she strictly told me my only priority would be my studies. When we left, Ari gave me a huge hug and said she couldn't wait for me to come. So, thank you guys for all your support and advice. Comment 1. That's great that you are pursuing what you want and reconnecting with your sister. But your mother's demands are ridiculous. Coming from parents very similar, I'd advise you to play along now, but start making boundaries when you go to college. Soon you will be an adult. You will have a job and responsibilities that may not allow for constant communication with your mother. You may make meaningful and/or romantic connections with other people you'll want to pursue. That is natural. Your parents won't handle it well, but as time goes on it should get easier. Comment 2. You're the idiot. It was inappropriate and hurtful to tell your mom that your sister was a better mother than her. While you may have felt frustrated with your mom's decision regarding your university plans, attacking her and comparing her negatively to your sister was uncalled for. Your mom has been there for you throughout your life, providing for you and taking care of you. It's unfair to dismiss her efforts and make her feel inadequate as a parent. Every parent has their own strengths and weaknesses, and it's important to recognize and appreciate the love and support your mom has given you. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for calling my roommate's family a bunch of misogynists and asking her to move out? I, female 26, am an assistant loco pilot. A trained driver in layman's terms. If you haven't already guessed, it's an extremely male-dominated position, with women not being recruited for the job until around 20 years ago. It wasn't my dream job. It was my father's job that I was offered by the railways after his accident in the line of duty, and I had to take over for my family as the breadwinner. On to the point. I live in a city away from home, so I rent a flat with a younger woman who is studying. She studies for late hours, so she doesn't have a problem with my crazy schedules, as I have a ton of night duties that don't follow any shift system. I do pay more rent because she's a student, and I sort of inconvenience her with my schedule. However, recently after her family visited her and went back, she started being cold towards me. When I confronted her about it, she said her mother didn't like the way I behave, and now I'm practically a man. The way I behave is wear a shirt and trousers pair, that's the uniform for it, in case it wasn't clear, to work on small electric projects during leisure time. That's something my father and I used to do when I was younger, and it's a memory I hold of him. According to my RM's mom, having such a job, dressing up like a man, working on man stuff, her words, not mine, practically makes me a man, and that my RM should be wary of me. And the next thing I might start doing is drinking until late and having rowdy alcohol parties with my work buddies at the flat we share. Even if it isn't my dream job, I take it seriously because I have 2 younger siblings, my mom and my grandparents, to support. It's not obvious, but the job gives a lot of physical and mental stress. I said if that's the problem for her, maybe RM should be moving out of the flat to make her misogynistic family happy. The only reason we got the flat to rent is because I'm a government employee and I pay more share of the rent in compensation for the inconveniences. My RM then called me an age and other profanities because she can't find a place so soon as she's a student, and it's unfair of me to ask her to move out because of her old-fashioned family. TLDR roommate's family called me too masculine and told her to be very much like me, so I asked her to move out. Edit for info, since I saw a couple questions. I work in the Indian Railways. The Indian Railways is a central government organization. It has a scheme for the employees to offer their spouses a pension or offer their eldest child a job when the employee dies before their retirement or gets unfit to work. In case of the eldest child taking the job, if the child is an adult, they are given training immediately while being paid a stipend. If the child isn't an adult, the spouse is given a pension until the child gets old enough to take on the job. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. If she's now feeling wary of you, she should want to find somewhere else to live. You're not asking her to move out because of her old-fashioned family. You're asking her to move out because she's internalized the messages of said family, believes them, and is treating you differently as a result. Comment 2. Not the idiot. If she and her family don't like you, she can find a new place to live. Now for the update. I've read the comments on my post, and while most were supportive, thank you all for that, I've seen some suggest my RM possibly having problems within her family. I have to admit, I haven't given a thought in that direction. I'm privileged enough to come from a family that doesn't believe in gender norms, so my mind didn't go in that direction. Also, some of you suggested RM's father could have been abusive towards her mother or her. Considering all that, I decided to have a talk with her. Thankfully, her father isn't an alcoholic or abusive, but it became very apparent to me that her parents, especially her mother, are extremely controlling. If anyone doesn't know, breaking out of a mother's control, especially as a daughter, is very difficult. When I sat her down and talked with her, she apologized for the profanities and behaving the way she did. As it happens, her mother all but warned her to not get close to me, because of which she stopped interacting with me completely. I told her I understand, and that I was there for her. I told her that I would have understood if she told me what happened. She replied by saying that she didn't really know what to do or what to say to me or to her mother. While I said we've resolved this and she really doesn't have to move out, she said she thinks that her moving out is actually a good idea, because she feels she'd piss her mother off more if she continues to share with me. Meanwhile, since a couple of people suggested that I move to the railway quarters, I looked into that. I plan on shifting my mother and my grandparents here because it would be easier for my mother if she stays with me, since one of my younger siblings is already staying in their university's hostel, and the other would be leaving for their university in August/September. I definitely cannot house my mother and grandparents in the current flat. One of my dad's old friends who still works with me kindly agreed to look into it and see if he can speed up the process due to his connections. I told my RM if the processing and paperwork goes through, I will move into the quarters in September, and since their new semester starts in September, she can find a new roommate who is more acceptable to her parents and keep the place. I also told her that if she decides to stand up to her mother, I will be by her side and support her, no questions asked. P.S. People from other countries, please don't start saying that my dad's old job is fake or my culture is unfortunate because it expects me to take care of my family. Every country operates differently, and due to different societal situations, we have laws and policies that might seem strange to you, and every culture has different ways of doing things, and I think this is one of the very nice things about mine. I would have taken care of my parents and grandparents anyway, even if my father hadn't been in an accident and lived to see his retirement. Comment 1. OP, I'm Indian too. My grandfather worked in railways. His kids did not take up his job because they didn't think it was good enough, but they did regret it later. I am so proud to have known you through this post. You're a brilliant, mind-blowing person. You're a powerhouse for taking on a job we know is still in a million ways male-dominated. Hats off, friend. Take care. Comment 2. Kudos to you. I saw your first post about the job being given to you on compassionate grounds and knew it was my country. You're doing good. Not everyone can understand all the cultures out there. I'm glad you're doing good and that your roommate apologized. Good luck in whatever you choose going forward. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to drop a like. It really helps the channel grow. See you next time.